Hello everyone, Hammad here. Welcome to my channel, Cloud with Hammad, DIY Cloud Learning to Inspire. For today, our DevOps Cloud series is to install Dockers and run custom images to deploy Apache website. During the process, I will show you how to pull images from Docker Hub, run a pre-built images, download code from the Git repository, and then also create custom images to deploy a website. Now, before we get into Power Pack Lab full of Dockers, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share with friends. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, guys, welcome to my notes. Our agenda for today is to install CentOS on VMware, which I will probably fast forward it to Docker installation. If you want to see how to install CentOS on VMware, I have a video on my library. Please go ahead and check it out. Once we install the CentOS, we'll initialize the Docker environment. We'll install Docker daemon and CLI. First time we will do a status check, and then we will do a hello world image download from Docker Hub repository. Once we do that, we will have I'll show you around with a couple of images that are already there, like Nginx, HTTPD, WordPress. So what we'll do is we'll download those images and run it off a website or a container to show you how these images are being downloaded, applied, and running on the container. Also, we'll have a code on Git. So once we have that code, we will clone that Git into our container, and we'll run it off a website from HTTPD. We'll create a couple of custom images, and then we'll run a couple of multiple containers to deploy websites. So this is a Power Pack lab. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. There are commands that are used for Docker PS, Docker PSA to see what containers are running or exited, and to log into container docker exec. These are the links that you need. Now, without further delay, let's go into deploying some labs. All right, guys, so first we need to do is to download CentOS, which is where we're going to install the Dockers. So for that, you just need to get to centos.org. Once you get here, you can click onto Linux or OS Stream. I would click on Linux. Once I get here, this is where you need to download. You can download the latest version, or you can go with 7. I'm using 7, so I'm gonna just download this one. And once I get here, I would say 86, 64-bit, whatever your machine supports. I would click up here, and then once I get here, these are all the places where the images are. So you just need to pull any one of them. I would click on this. Anyone would work, and then I would download the ISO file. Minimum net install. I would go with everything here, or you can do ISO. Let's do this one here, and then hit download. It's going to take a good 7 minutes to download 5 GB. So once it download, I will be right back. Once that's done, then you are to log into your CentOS for the first time. Click on my password step. Sign in. It's going to ask you to so the first time you're logged in, all you do is right click and open. First time you already logged in, all you need to do is right click and open terminal. First, I would install our Dockers. All right, guys, so for Docker installation, first thing first, I'm going to see if I can increase the size of the font by getting here, selecting the profile, custom font, and get up here, hit 18 sounds good to me. Click OK and click close. So once again, click here, preference, your profile, custom font, and drop down to there. Okay, so for Dockers, I would let me show you. For Docker, you get to Docker's installation instructions. You get to doc.dockers.com, get here, and then installation download. So click here, and then what are you doing it on Windows, on Mac, or on Linux? I would click on Linux. Once we get here, these are the platform, these are the softwares. For Ubuntu, you can do here. I would do CentOS because this is a CentOS machine. Once we get to this location, you have all the installation. This command actually is to install any old version. Since this is a new machine, we won't be using this command, but for installing Dockers, we get here. And then first thing is we will do a sudo yum install and yum util. So click here, copy, sudo yum, paste, and it's going to update the package manager. It's complete. and we get back here. Copy this. Enter. That's done. Next step is come here. I would install whatever package you need. This is optional, so I would just come here and I would copy this and log into my machine, enter, and it's going to start installing Dockers. As you can see, it's installing CLI up here, and then it's going to CE. That's it. Docker, it's installed. Clear this screen out. Alright, after the installation, I would just use this command to start Docker. And then I would start the service. And the service isn't started. All you need to do is clear systemctl get the status Docker. So the Docker is running. Alright guys, welcome back. So first thing first, we are logged into Docker's Hub. This is basically the place where all the images are. This is sort of marketplace where companies publish their images, and you can download those images and basically pull those images, and you know, you can actually load it in onto the container and run your application on top of it. So not to delay, first thing we'll do is we'll actually go with hello world first. This is an image, hello world. This is the image, RLD. This is the hello world. This is basically the first image that was hello world is just to appear. I already let it open, so I'm gonna just come up here. You can pull the image by doing Docker pull, and then you can also look at all the details about the images here. This is how you would run it. It would show up as hello world. That means that it will pull the image and it would load it up onto a container. So first thing first, we'll just do a Docker pull first for you to see how to pull an image. This is the first time we're pulling the image. So if I come to my machine, this is like a Mobox, a third-party software, but you can see all my machines are up here. This is my CentOS machine that is running onto a Docker. So if I do Docker, actually let's do a systemctl status Docker. Actually systemctl status Docker. So you can see my Docker is running, everything is good. Clear this out. I would just say Docker PS. There's nothing in the images. There's no image that is running right now. That's what PS is, process status. And then Docker PS minus A is to see any other images that are either exited or it's still running. Docker images is to loads up all the images. So I would say first thing is Docker pull hello world. So it's going to go and check onto a local system that, hey, do we have an image? Not. Then it's going to go and pull the image from the library of hello world. This is where it came and pulled the information from here. And then it actually loaded up with the status saying newer images. And then, you know, it's, so if I do Docker images, Docker images, it's going to show that there is an image in there. So first thing first, we'll actually do a docker run hello world, and I hit enter. So once I do that, it already has an image in my system. It ran this a small page that says hello from Dockers. This is a message that shows, you know, Docker it's been downloaded. Clear the screen. Then the next thing is, what we'll do is, I actually picked up a couple of images for me to show you guys. Very interesting. First thing what we'll do is we'll run a HTTPD website. It's an Apache on Debian. We'll pull the image, we'll run it and expose the port, and we'll go on to the port and see from our local IP to see whether the page is loaded or not. And then we'll also do Nginx, and then we'll also load image for WordPress. So without further delay, let's do that. So first thing is Docker PS. I would say, you can see there's no container running, but if I say Docker PS -a, it says that, hey, you know what, there was a hello world image that was loaded on the container, if you see container ID, and then 52 seconds ago it exited, we closed it up. So if we want to stop it, let's say Docker stop container ID. Usually it's a good idea to just stop the container so that it doesn't hold the port. It deleted, so it didn't delete, it stopped the process. So Docker PS -a, you will see it's done. So Docker RM, that is remove image, I would say remove container ID container. So it removed the container. So let's say if I do Docker PS Docker PS -a, nothing in there. Anyways, so let's do this. First, let's do Docker pull. I would say first thing was HTTPD. So if I get here, HTTPD, this is the command. It's gonna, if I do Docker pull HTTPD, it's gonna download the latest, but you can see there is a reference and there is a latest tag. If I do just this, it's going to download this version. So, but you can pick any of the versions from here, Alpine or regular. So let's do 2.4. So we'll download 2.4, and then what is HTTPD? It tells you image, and then it tells you how it's composed, configuration. So all the details are here. Let's do this. Go back here, HTTPD version 2.4 as we talked, and it's going to pull version 2.4. So again, it's pulling it because we don't have it locally in the system. It is downloading the image, it downloaded, completed, extracted, and then, you know, it says that, hey, you know what, there is a Docker library of like this is the image that was loaded. So now we're going to do a Docker run -- so what we'll do is now we'll run this image on a container. So for doing that, I would say Docker run name. I can give any name. I would say web page, and then I would say /p for port on 8080. That is on the server, on the container so on 8080 container port 80. I would detach. I would run it as a detached image for HTTPD : 2.4. So what's going to happen is it's going to run the service on port 8080 on the server and 80 inside the server, and then we'll just in future we will load another image as a volume, and then we'll go from there. But for now, just for you to understand, we are running this image that we downloaded on with the name of web page on 8080, and then on this is the image that was downloaded, and it's referencing this image. Okay, so if I hit enter, it ran this image ID in there. So now if I do Docker PS -a, you can see there is an image loaded. There is an image named HTTPD 2.4 loaded onto the container here, and then, you know, with an IP of this. So just do if config, and then I would say my IP is 192, which is showing up here as well. So let's do this. Grep 192, and you can see this is my IP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in with my IP onto the browser just to check it out. I would say http://192.168.199.152 on port 8080, and I run this, and you can see the Apache web page is running. It says that it works because, you know, there is in the backend, rather than seeing Apache website, for the welcome page is showing up as Apache. All right, so we loaded a website. We loaded like a simple Apache on a container. Next thing, Docker image. Let's clear this out. Docker images. You can see there is a hello world, HTTPD, and then if I do Docker PS dash A, you can see there is currently a service that is running with a container ID HTTPD, which I just showed you. Anyway, so next thing is Docker pull image Nginx. So this is the next image that's going to pull. Let's go here. Same thing I discussed. Everything is here. We can do either latest. This time we'll just leave it the way it is. We're not going to specify any version. So it's going to Docker pull. So we're going to copy this. We get here, and same thing. We hit enter, and now it's going to download that image for Nginx. Same thing. Once this download, what we'll do is we'll expose this port, and then we will run it off our website. So Docker run name, I would say Nginx -web. I would say it was on port 8081 on 80, and then detach it on port. Actually, I would detach it -D, and then images Nginx, and hit enter. So now it actually detached image name. And so if I do Docker PS, Docker images, so you can see there's 3 images. Docker PS, there are 2 of them. So one web page, which is we loaded as web page for HTTPD, and then one was Nginx web, which is the name we gave it. Now what next thing is what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We'll copy this for ourselves, and then we'll come in, and this time we actually loaded on port 8081. So we'll get to 8081, and you can see Nginx website is running. So there are 2 websites that are running so far. The third thing that I did for you guys was to see if I can pull up a WordPress website. So this is the same command, WordPress copy. All the details here, latest version. This is going to let you get to the page. So we'll download the image, load it up onto the container, and you'll see how it is easy for you to just get the image and download and upload. So get here. I would say a Docker pull, and then it's starting to pull images for WordPress. All right, guys, so the image of WordPress is loaded. So I would say, let's do this. Let's clear this screen first. Docker images, you can see we have WordPress loaded. So same thing, Docker run name. WordPress image would be, I would say, WordPress. You can do WordPress web, you know, and then I would say on port 8080, oh, actually 8082. Actually, this is 8083 actually. 8081, 82 actually. Let's do this. Sorry about that. So, and it would detach 8082 on container 80, detach WordPress, and then hit enter. So it's gonna basically load it that image, this one that we downloaded, to our container. So let's do a Docker PS. You can see there are 3 websites that are running. One is for HTTPD, one is for Nginx, and then one is for WordPress on port 80, 81, and 82. These are the names that I set up on TCP port. So I already showed you that, you know, we have run HTTPD, And then we have an Nginx. Copy this, and then we'll go up here, paste, and this is on 82. Hit enter, and it should load up. It's you can see it is starting to load up your WordPress. I can go ahead and select English and start logging into it. So now we have let me summarize this. So what we have done is we have downloaded Docker image. So clear this out. So far what we have done, we have downloaded images for WordPress, Nginx, HTTPD, and Hello World. We loaded them onto port, so Docker PS. We actually loaded onto a container with these container IDs, and on my local port, and I showed you the website. Now the important thing is to stop these so that we can use these port again onto different services, because next what we're going to do is we will actually download our own image from our Git repo, and then we'll basically load it onto these containers, and then we'll try to publish them through any of those services, either Nginx or HTTPD. Once we get to there, we'll explain. So Docker PS -a. So this is the services that are running. So I would say Docker stop. I would just container ID. So this is going to stop the service. Okay, Docker stop. We can do one by one. Stop. So this is all the process stops. So if I stop this, obviously the website is not going to work. So even if I do a refresh here, and you can see this is waiting, nothing is happening. Same thing for Nginx, and same thing for HTTPD. So that means the service stopped. All right, so we would remove it, Docker rm, and then we'll remove it from the container. So we'll just copy this container, and then we'll copy Nginx container, and then we'll copy our HTTPD container. You can do all together. For some reason that was not working. So all of them are done. So Docker PS -a, there's nothing going on. Clear, but we do still have images. So Docker images, and you can see there are 3. So I would just remove them. So I -f, actually docker images. Docker, so it removed the Docker RMI -f. Copy this, enter, removed it, Docker RMI -f, HTTPD, sorry. -f. Clear. So Docker images. So I deleted all the images that I downloaded it. I stopped the services, and the container were deleted. Docker PS -a. So there's nothing. All right. So we have done so far is I gave you an introduction on how to get to the hub, how you can look at the images, how you can pull and load it up pull the images and load it up the container, in which I did HTTPD, Nginx, and WordPress. Now the next step is what we'll do is we'll actually go to, I cloned a repo to my own GitHub repositories. I would download that as an image. I will load it up into a container, and then we'll actually see how that works for us. So let's go and do that. Alright guys, so the next example would be to work with a pre-built Docker image. What we'll do is we'll ask our developers to upload the codes that they have worked on for a website. And what I've asked them is to, hey, you know what, go ahead and update the Git site and I will download the code from there. So I would go here and go to my repo. I can download from the company's Git web location, or I can go here. I cloned it up on my Git site, and then it's done by this person. I would go ahead and copy the code, go back to my Git, my Docker. I would say Git clone, and I would get the link. So once I hit enter, it's going to download the images. So it did. I would say ls, so you can see there is a file that was downloaded from that Git. It has all the codes. So let's say if I want to check that out, cd this, and you can see we are logged in ls, and then there is another web ls. So there are 3 files. So you can see there is an index file. These are static websites. So what we'll do is we'll use this to mount to a volume on HTTPD web's image. So let's say for me to do that, I would just say docker run -- name, and I would say widget. That's the name of the container. I would say on port 8080 onto the server. So port 8080 is on the server, and then 80 on the container. I would say volume. So this is the volume. We will attach a volume. What volume means that, let's say if I want to do my current let me explain this. PWD is present working directory. So what I'm saying is, whatever I am running, let me write this command first and then explain. Web usr local Apache2 and then htdocs. And I would just, once I do htdoc, I would read only, detach, so that our machine is not PD 2.4. Okay, so what I did here is we downloaded a code that was given to us by the developer. We have it in our directory of Dockers, and then once we get to it, we checked it. There is a web folder, and then in that folder we have all these files. Now what we're doing is we will run a docker run command of a container named widget on port 8080, and we'll mount a volume with my current PWD, which is present working directory of the web, which means wherever I am standing, I'm standing here. And then I would say this user local Apache2 to htdocs. This is where all the HTML file resides within Apache, so HTTP. So what I did was move all the files into htdoc folder, and then it should be read only. And we want to detach the container so that we don't have to worry about being used in the back end. It just says it's done. And then what we do, we will remember we said HTTPD 2.4 image, so it's saying download this image. So all this needs to be done using this image. So if I hit enter, it cannot find the HTTPD, so it's going to download it. Once it downloads, it's going to upload that files into that container, and once we log in with our local IP, we should see a website working. So let's see. All right, so it's done. I will come up here. 192.168.199.152 port 8080 and hit enter. All right, so we have a image here. So remember I showed you the 3 files. You can click on all of these: free code, support. So this is the example of taking the code from developers and mount it onto like, if I remember, let me get the command for me. So you already have explained this. Let me show you the command. So I ran a name of HTTPD on port 8080, present working directory of web, whatever in the web, push it into a container. So HTTPD file index files are for you to run it on a website. The index files are in htdocs. So what I did was, anything in my web, push it to htdocs, read only, in a detached mode. Image that I download from Docker Hub is 2.4. What it did, it basically ran a container image of 2.4, and then this is the IP, my local IP, and whatever was it in web folder, which is I showed you. So ls cd web ls. So whatever these files, you can see it up on this container, like widget, free code, support, and widget. All right, so this is the example 2, and now what we'll do is we'll get to the example 3, in which we'll just create our own image and we'll try to load that image onto the website. All right, guys, so the next example would be to handcraft a container image. What we'll do is we'll actually download or pull the image of HTTPD Apache image onto our system, and then we will run a container through that image. And then once we get that, we'll log into that container. We'll download the code from the Git repository, the code that was given to us by a developer. And then once we do that, we'll copy the files in htindex, and then we'll come back and then we'll try to create an image out of it, and also run multiple web services from that image to have multiple websites. So let's do this first so that it all makes sense to you. So for that, we would say docker pull HTTPD. I think we worked on 2.4 image, so we'll just keep it that way. And then it's downloading the image. Okay, and then we do docker run dash dash. I would give a name, say web template. Yeah, that works. Detach HTTPD 2.4. So what we're doing is we downloaded the image HTTPD, and we are running that image onto a container named web template. Okay, that's done. So if I do docker images, so we have one images, docker ps minus a, we have a container that is running on our port 80. Okay, so once we do that, we would just actually go ahead and log into. Okay, so the next step would be to log into this container that I created so that I can download the Git code. So I would say docker exec -it interactive terminal image ID. No, sorry. Bash. So we are now logged into the container. So if we do ls, we see all these files. If you see the file htdoc, that's where we will deploy all the codes. So let's say if cd htdocs ls, this is the index file that I will remove eventually. But before we do that, let's go back and do some updates. So apt update yeah, I forgot. This is not a. This is not a what. Oh my God, this is not APT Ubuntu machine. This is not an Ubuntu machine. Anyways, once we get here, type in apt update. And then I would say apt install git -y. So it's installing the Git. What we'll do is we'll use this Git to download the repository from the GitHub website. It is the code that was pushed in, remember, in the last exercise. So I say git clone. I would say, I think the link was already there. Copy. And then what we'll do is we'll actually, before we do that, actually, let's do this. Clear ls. So we have a temp file. So what we'll do is git clone. I would say put that into the temp file, right? So tmp, make a folder called widget factory. I would say inc. I think that will work out. Hit enter. And it's cloning the file. So lsl, just to check. Widget factory -inc. So ls -l tmp so we have a file web. If we could do same thing, if we just do web, it should list all the files in the web. So we downloaded this code. Now we do ls -l. I would just check. We already checked. We know that, you know, the usr, I think it was user local. So cd usr. cd share, oh, Apache2 ls cd docs, and this is the file we want to remove, right? So we can do that by just removing the file from here, or we can just let's say rm index.html ls. So we don't have anything. We would say we come here, and then we would copy all the file from the temp that we extracted to that index file. So tmp widget factory inc web, everything in there, to user local ap2, and then it was htdoc, I would think. htdocs, and everything is in there. So just to check it out, we can do ls -l user local Apache2 htdocs. You can see the full file. So we remove that old one and use this. So now we're going to exit out, and we do a docker ps. So that once this is done, now what we'll do is we already have we did a container. We we had an index file, we removed that index file, we downloaded the code from the Git, and now we will take an image of that. So for us to do that, we will take an image of this container. So for that, I would say docker commit, and then I would say container, and let's say I want to give them a name of that container as example / widget factory. I say v.2 version 2, I would say, or we can just do v2. v1 didn't, so let's do v1. So now it has created an image of that container. So I would say docker image, so we have two of them. All right, so we have created an image out of a container. Now the next step is to understand the reason why this is 240 megs and why this is 138 meg. I believe when we first downloaded the image, it was, so if you say it was a doc, it was the code that we downloaded. Yeah, we did. But I think what we need to do is we need to remove the extra files that we download, like Git, and we clean that up. And then, so let's do this. Let's quickly go back to the container. So docker ps -a, and then docker exec it container id, and then bash. And then over here, now what we'll do is we'll just remove all the excess file that we had. So let's say remove rf tmp widget factory. Remember, we created this folder, so we remove that, and then apt remove git -y. So apt clean. This is to remove cache file and everything. So that is done. We exit out, and docker ps, we clear. Actually, let's do this. Docker commit. We would take another snapshot. Actually, I didn't give the name. I should have given the name. Let's do one more time. Docker commit, I would say example factory v2. So we actually created 3. So let's do docker images. So we have 3. One is we didn't give the name, so we can just delete that. So it's docker rmi. Don't worry about this one. So we have one image that is, now you can see one is 240 and one is 212 because we removed some of the files. All right, so the next thing is to let's do a docker run of that image. Web1 port 8081 on 80 and example widget v2. Widget factory. Yeah, there you go. So it's downloaded the image, and then what we'll do is we'll download another image. 80 on web2. So basically you like doing your own port is already allocated. Oh yeah, so yeah, we need to do is 8083 because we already have 81 already running, 80 running on the blank one, 82 on 81 on the new one, 83 is the next one. Okay, docker ps minus a. So we have 81 running, 80 is already there, and we not specify the port for the new one. So I would say docker stop and rm. Okay, and then clear. And then we have 80 running and 81 running. So we do a docker, actually we use the command, go up 80, 82, on 80, and we would do a web2 factory widget factory 2, and then we have another one. So if I do docker ps, we should have another one running. So let's do another one, web3 on port 83, and then ps, we have 3 images running, web4 on a port 4. So we got 4 images running on 4 containers basically. So let's clear this out. ps. Now what we'll do is we'll just log into, so in future what I'll try to do is to have a load balancer and apply that load balancer as a public IP, and we can use that load balancer IP to view all these containers. For now we'll just log into our local host and see if we can so 80 81 widget factory, 80 82, 80 83, sorry, 3 and 4. So we got 4 machines running with a custom built image that we deployed now. Okay, so that will be it. Hope you enjoyed it, enjoyed the whole session. I would really appreciate it if you like it, and if you are new, subscribe and share with your friends and family. Till next time, have a great day. Bye.